Okay. So, hi, my name is Alyssa. This is Doodle Polls 101, and I want to welcome you. Please, as we move along today, feel free to stop me either verbally and ask questions or enter your questions into the chat, and I'll try to keep an eye on that. But as I was just saying, part of the reason that I am offering this is that I have experienced that many people, including people at Caldwell, kind of struggle with the effort and time it takes to get meetings scheduled. And sometimes it can take more effort and emails to get a meeting scheduled than to do the actual work. So I want to cut down on that and just provide an option that I used weekly, maybe sometimes several times a week when I was working with at a health department, because a lot of my work was very collaborative and we worked on different teams and different work groups, and I often was responsible for finding a time for 20 people to be available for a meeting, for example. And doing that without a tool like Doodle is a pain. So I'm hoping to make this a little bit easier for everyone. Are you ready to get started? Yes, okay. So Gail, when is a time that you need to schedule meetings or events with maybe 4 or more people?
Pretty frequently. I mean, whether it's committees for the church, that's usually the most frequent one. Yeah, to prepare for events and worship planning, that kind of stuff.
Got it. How about you, Dennis?
For sure, Caldwell, and also other mostly nonprofit organizations that I'm involved with, where I have leadership roles from time to time.
Great, perfect. Those are good examples of places that this is applicable for sure. So now what I'm going to do is share my screen so that you all can see what I am looking at, and I'm going to walk you through a little bit of a slide deck that I'm going to send out afterwards, so you'll have this, and also see my screen to see what I'm doing and the steps that I'm walking through as I'm doing it. Okay? So let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen now? Yes? Okay. So I'm going to present this. And are you able to see that slide deck as I pull it up here? Yes, great. So Doodle Polls 101. Why use Doodle Polls? For me, I use them most often with scheduling meetings for 4 or more people. I think kind of below that, it's a little bit easier to work back and forth with people's schedules, but above that, it can get really complicated, and then communication back and forth, you have to keep track of it somehow, and it's a little bit, it can get complicated. So Doodle polls are good for kind of 4 or more people, in my opinion. You can use it for fewer than that if you like. There's nothing to keep track of, so you can get a visual breakdown to make clear and easy decisions, and it's free. So there's really not a downside there. An example of what you could use a doodle poll to create during our special times that we're in with coronavirus would be a drive-by birthday celebration. If you wanted to make sure that everybody that wanted to celebrate with the birthday person was available. You could schedule a time for you and your 6 best friends to go do a social distanced yoga workout in the park. Or you can schedule any type of phone call or Zoom meeting for any purpose that you want with almost as many people as you want. So the first step is to create a Doodle account. You don't actually have to do that right now, but it's the same as signing up for pretty much any other internet-based or web-based service. You just start with your name and email. And once again, I'm going to send this slide deck out to you afterwards, but you would do that at doodle.com. And then you would start creating your first poll. So I'm going to take you to my screen. This is Doodle. For me, I would go to login with my email, and my password's already there. So I'm going to go to login. And over here in the middle, you're going to see any Doodle polls that you've previously created. This is actually a Doodle poll for a Zoom meeting that I'm going to have after this call with some of my friends from grad school. For you, when you want to start your new poll, you're going to go up here to create. You don't need to kind of mess with any of this stuff, connecting a calendar or syncing your contacts or adding your contacts unless you really want to. I prefer to kind of leave all of that out because I have email that has all of that in it already. And I'll show you how to take what you've done here and use your email to share and invite participants. You also have an option to do a paid version of this. I recommend not doing that. Pretty much all of the functionality you need is going to be free unless you're using this every day for business. So let's go through with the free version. I'm going to go to create, and there are some options here that pop up. I most often use it to book a group meeting. You can also share your calendar and allow people to schedule meetings with you here for one-on-one meetings, or create a survey to get an answer to a question that you want to ask a group of people. Those are things that you can play around with as well. Today, I'm going to focus on how to create a group meeting to find a time that's the best for most people to meet. So I click on that, and it's going to run me through steps 1 through 4. So up here you see step 1 of 4. Do you see that highlighted? Okay, so you're going to enter a title, anything that you want to say. It could be, you know, park, hangout, or follow up on previous, that's not how you spell previous, meeting for design, right? So it can just be anything that you want it to be. Today, I'm going to say, oh, my screen went out. Just one sec. Okay, so practice for Caldwell. The next option is it'll pop out the location. And here you can say anything you want as well. There are some things down here that are pre-populated. So if you know the location or how your meeting is going to happen, you can add it on here so that the people you invite to participate in the poll have that information. If you don't, you can just leave it as to be defined or blank. Or you could add in a physical location like Alyssa's house, or an address, so 221 State Street. Anything there that you would like to do. So I'm just going to leave it as Alyssa's house for now, for an example. And then here you can add in a note that will be included in the invitation to participate in the poll. And you can say anything you want that will give people context, or you can leave it blank. One thing that I often do here is to include a deadline for participation in the poll. So you could say, please complete by December 3rd, for example. And that gives your participants a little reminder that there's a time schedule that you're working with, for instance, if you are. So now that I've included all that information, I'm going to hit continue. So here, you're going to start filling in the options of the times that you want to provide as options for people to choose. And there are some different views that you can use up here. So you can click month and it'll look like this, and you can choose dates on the calendar by clicking on them and then add dates and times specifically on the right. Or you can go to here where you fill in your own text about what options you want to provide for dates and times. I most often use the view in the middle that is the week view. I find it the easiest. So this week, for example, if we wanted to schedule a meeting with the 3 of us, I am going to provide the time if I wanted to say 12 p.m. So I'm just going to click on that and kind of pull this box down. If I click on a box, it might only populate for an hour or a half an hour. But what happens is that if you want to adjust the time, you go down towards the bottom of that box, and there's going to be this little black arrow that pops up. And you'll be able to grab that and either adjust it to be smaller for a smaller time, or you can drag it to be bigger. So can you see that when I go to the very bottom of the box, my cursor changes from the hand to this little black arrow? So I'm going to make this a 1-hour meeting as well. I'm just going to make a few example times for us to create. I'm going to make this a half-hour meeting. And if you put something on the calendar here, you add it and you decide that that's not what you want to change it. If you hover over it, it's going to kind of gray out a little bit. In the top right-hand corner, there's an X that will pop up, and you'll be able to take it off the calendar by hitting that top right-hand corner. So I'm going to put that back and then do that again to erase it, and then just drag it down to add it. So at this point, I want to see if there's any questions about adding things to the calendar. Nope. Okay. So I'm going to add.
I'll ask a question, Alyssa.
Sure.
So as you continue adding boxes, you can scroll up to the top of the screen and go to the next week as well?
Yes, thank you for
good.
that. So here are, using the arrow buttons to the left and the right, you can scroll through the weeks. So I'm going to add this time and this time on the next week for an example. And you can do that, to go the next week, the next week, the next week. So you can go as far into the future as you want with this view, and it'll always show you with this blue dot what today's current date is as a reference. Thanks for asking that question. I'm going to hit continue, and now we're on step 3 of 4. I oftentimes don't use any of these extra options, and I just hit finish. These on the right with the yellow icons are ones that are paid features. I don't think that most people need those. One of the things that you can use for especially meetings with many people that might be difficult to schedule is this option, the yes, no, if need be. And you can use that to make sure that people have the option of saying, I can do this if we really need to, and if it's the only time that's best for the rest of the group, but it's not ideal. That would give people the option of saying either a yes or no, like on a normal poll, but also maybe or if need be. That adds the additional option, and I'll show you how that looks on the poll. So these are other options you can use. Limit the number of votes per option. So this essentially says, once one person participates and they choose a time slot, that time slot goes away as an option for everyone else who then participates. So that is kind of one-on-one booking appointments. Limit participants to a single vote. So if you wanted to have them choose a time slot that is, you want them to only be able to choose one for them, but to have all the options available so that everyone subsequently can still see all the options. That would be what you would use that for. And then if you wanted to make this more anonymous and be hidden poll, then you could check this box down here. Otherwise, everyone who participates can see all the other participants and what they have chosen. Any questions so far? No. So I'm going to leave it as this. I'm going to hit finish. And that takes me to the page that you will use to work with this poll. You'll keep coming back to this page. So the first thing that's going to happen when I create my poll is I'm going to get an email from Doodle saying that my poll has been created. I'll go to my inbox in just a minute. That happens every single time. So the fourth step is inviting participants. But the first thing that you can do is go down here to the bottom of this page, and it's going to show you what your participants are going to see. So here I have practice for Caldwell, by me, it's at my house, please complete by that times the note that I chose. And then here are all the options that everyone is going to see. So it's going to prompt them to enter their name in a box just like this. This is what they're going to get in their email or however you invite them. If you see that you've made a mistake on this in any way, go back up to the top of the page and hit edit. And it's going to run you through the entire process again, all the steps. So you can find where you did the thing that you didn't want to do or what you want to adjust. You can change the time, location, the name, location, note, hit continue. You can change the time options here, hit continue, finish, and it's going to take you back to that final kind of administration page where it's invite at the top and the view of what it looks like at the bottom. Any questions so far? No. Okay. So if you got it all right and that's how you want it to look, you can invite participants. So it's going to prompt you to enter emails here, but I personally don't like doing this because I don't know everybody's emails off the top of my head that I want to invite. So you can do that if you want to. You can go into your email and, you know, type out the emails and then copy paste them into this. But what I like to do is to use this invite by sharing this link feature down here in the middle of the page. Click on this and click copy. And then you can copy this link and drop it into anything that you want to use. So if it's Facebook Messenger, or if it's your email, or if it's Zoom, or anything that where you want to invite participants, you can drop it into a text message if you've got that set up on your computer. So that's the functionality that I like to use to invite participants. And what I'm going to do right now is to stop sharing my screen and then invite you all using the chat feature, if I can find it here. Yes, so what I'm gonna do is type this link into the chat down here and invite you all to pull up this poll and practice putting in some fake practice availability. So I'm just going to give you some time to do that. And I'll show you what it looks like. And then just let me know when you're finished.
I sent mine back.
Great. How are you doing, Dennis? Did you get it pulled up? Any questions about getting it filled out, Dennis?
So I checked off a couple of squares,
Mhm.
a couple of dates, and then it,
You got to hit submit or send.
yeah, well, when I hover over send, I have a red circle with a line through it.
Did you put your name in? Did you enter your name in the left part of the poll?
Uh-huh. I normally do Doodle on my phone, so my laptop has a way of doing its own thing. It's part of why I use my phone. Okay, we got a name. We got send. Hopefully you're happy now.
Did it let you send it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for practicing with me. And one point about Doodle is that people who you send it to don't have to have a Doodle account to be able to participate in the poll and respond. So they don't have to like sign up for Doodle. They can just do what you all did, get a poll and fill it out. You only need an account if you're going to be the one who's managing and creating the polls. So I'm going to show you once again through screen share what it's going to look like. So pretend like you created a poll and now we are looking at the results. So can you see my inbox? Yes. So the first thing that I'm going to see here is that I got an email from Doodle saying you have created your practice for Caldwell Doodle, and you can edit it and invite participants. So if there's anything that I want to change or invite more participants, either of these links are going to take me to that page, that end page that you saw that I was showing you. But it's going to look a little bit different now because people have participated. So up here, I'm going to have the option to choose a final option since people have participated. And I'm going to see the results in a nice little chart. And unfortunately, it looks like there is no common availability for the two of you. One thing that I'm going to show you as well here is that there's an instruction up here to tick the checkbox twice to select the yes if need be vote. And neither of you did that because I forgot to prompt you about potentially doing that in the future or in before. But if I was going to fill this out for me, if I click once, it's yes. If I click twice, it's maybe if need be. So that's the instruction that is up here in the italics for people to see this poll. That might be something that people miss. If you want to change it or erase it, you just click again. So let's say I'm going to click if need be here, yes here, and yes here. And I'm going to hit send. And I'm going to click down here at the bottom of the page, back to poll. So number one, if you have somebody who you're inviting who really cannot figure this out, they just cannot figure it out, you are able to do what I just did. You can enter their name into this page, with their availability that they email to you or you're on the phone with them, and you can just use this to keep track of it along with anyone else's availability. So if there's someone who just absolutely cannot figure this out in terms of filling out this poll, you can administer it yourself and keep the visualization of their availability along with everyone else's on the same system here. So that's just an example of me doing that. And I think that you'll kind of see that maybe if I was going to choose a final time for this group, I would either go to Dennis and say, hey, on December 3rd, you said you weren't available, but that looks like it might be one of the only times. Could you make that work, right? Because there's 2 people available at that time. And then if that's not available, I might go to Gail and say, hey, this is a time that works for most people. Could you make that work, right? Since there's not an availability for everyone clearly. So oftentimes you have to kind of work within that. Or if it's something where we really need Dennis and Gail is kind of somebody that we can inform later, that we would go with the time that works for Dennis. So you can also think about the dynamics of the event or the meeting that you're having and schedule it around people that are the most important to be there, right? So the 2 ways that you can access this page to see the results are to click on the emails that you're going to get. So I got this email that says that I created the poll, and I'm also going to get an email every time somebody participates in it. So I have 2 emails in my inbox that says Gail just participated and Dennis just participated. And it's going to tell me to go to your poll. And you'll be able to get to that same page from there. Or you can get to that page by going to your Doodle account and then clicking from your homepage on that Doodle poll that you created. That'll be on that main page with any others that you've created. Any questions at this time? No, okay. So I'm gonna go back to my presentation real quick. So we created our first poll. We signed up for Doodle, created our first poll. Oh, you can't see that. I gotta pull it up here. So created our first poll. And then we shared our poll with invitees using the link. Then you're going to monitor the results of your poll. Doodle will keep you up to date by sending you an email each time somebody responds. You can view the results to decide on time and communicate with participants. And in terms of tips, I would like to suggest I just ran through that you can click on either the links in the emails or sign in directly to the Doodle account to view the results. And suggest that you decide open times based on your own availability first. So you would want to look at your calendar and make sure that you, if you're supposed to be involved in the meeting, are actually free. And then whoever is most important in the meeting, oftentimes that's somebody who absolutely needs to be involved in the decision making, or if it's somebody's birthday, you want the birthday person's availability, you want them to be available for the celebration that you're planning. So you might go to them and ask them first and build the Doodle poll around the 2 of your availability to offer those times instead of trying to go back and make sure that it works afterwards. Third, you might need to resend the link as a reminder to have people fill it out. Oftentimes they do, but sometimes people forget or they're not sure what it means, or you might have to coach some people through it the first time. But that's easy enough to do because you can see very clearly who has responded and who hasn't. So fourth, you might need to coach some people through the process or even fill it out as if you were them in the back end as the administrator, if necessary. I've had to do that a couple times when people were just really uncomfortable with the idea of doing it, but I personally think it's pretty intuitive. So that is really the whole process. And I think that now, after doing this little 101 workshop, that you could schedule an event or a meeting with everybody in our church in this picture and find out the best time, because you can send the poll out to everyone. So just want to thank you for participating. And if you have any questions, I would love to take them now.
I don't know so much about the question as much as I am very happy to discover that it's not that complicated. Like, I guess I thought it was much harder than it actually is. And so I think I will make use of it going forward. So thank you for this.
Great. Any questions from you, Dennis?
No, I'm good. I learned a few things that I'm not accustomed to using, so it met my met and exceeded my expectations. Thank you.
Absolutely. And for me, this is something that I can do now that I've practiced it in a couple minutes. So it's something that can shortcut those 30 emails that would go back and forth to schedule a meeting potentially with 7 or 10 people. It can really cut down on that and just get straight to the point of when most people are available.
And I like that too, Alyssa, because because of the nature of my job, I get a lot of emails, as you well know, that are like, my name is Barbara, and these are the 17 times I'm available. Can the 12 of us schedule a meeting? And
yeah.
I feel comfortable even now saying, all right, how about I create a doodle poll, starting with Barbara's schedule, and then we go from there. So that's very helpful.
Yeah, so you would start a doodle poll with Barbara's schedule plus yours, and then offer times that the 2 of you are available to everyone else. Okay, well, that is Doodle Polls 101, and I'm hoping that this is going to be something that makes working together on the really important projects that Caldwell has going on easier. And I am happy to offer follow-ups, hopefully for a Google Drive introductory session in the future. That's also another set of tools that I use really often to do collaborative work and make it easier and more inclusive, I would say. So that's something that I just want to preview, that I'm hoping to find a time moving forward to teach people about that as well.
Well, then I invite you to make a doodle poll and we can figure out when that can happen.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. This was truly very helpful.
Great. So thank you all for joining me on this Sunday, and I hope that you are empowered to use it and to teach others if you find that it is something that others need to know as well, or feel free to reach out to me and I can always support other people. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Dennis.
Bye-bye.